Hello, I'm Dhanya Rajendran from the News Minute. The Tamil Nadu elections are just a few days away, and all television channels, newspapers are busy putting out opinion polls. Here at the News Minute, we are going to look at a few constituencies, political parties, and look at how these elections can pan out. Joining me in these conversations are two journalists, both senior political analysts who have covered many elections, Veera Raghav, who's joining me in Bengaluru, and Kavitha Muralidharan from Chennai. Today we'll be discussing two constituencies in Chennai itself, Kolattur and Chepauk, primarily because we'll be looking at the DMK and its first family. So Stalin is the candidate from Kolattur, and from Chepauk we have Udayanidhi Stalin. We have yet one more son coming into politics, of the DMK's politics. How do you perceive this?
Well, it's extremely unfortunate. Frankly, this was not the election for it to be Stalin's son's election. This was supposed to be Stalin's election. Look, when Stalin was projected, came into the party in '89, when Stalin contested for the first time, Karunanidhi had led the party for three decades. He was a two-time chief minister. He had stature. And then he pushed his son, and despite that, there was a revolt within the DMK. But unfortunately, the fact is, even before Stalin becomes chief minister, projecting his son takes the impetus away from the DMK's campaign. And in fact, that's really the Achilles heel for the DMK. Dynasty politics, which is regressive. And I think post Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi, I don't know if a young voter will identify with that kind of dynasty politics. Though there are several positives for the DMK, this was an avoidable negative. Now, how Udayanidhi is going to shape up, the fact that he pushed himself to make sure that he gets a seat this time, and that it had to be Chepauk, which is a symbolic reiteration that one constituency, it's regressive, that one constituency belongs to a family. It's unfortunate and regressive, and I think that's really something the DMK needs to introspect into, and that is why the AIDMK's campaign revolves around DMK bringing anarchy, DMK bringing Gundaism back into in terms of its government. Strikes a chord. There is a genuine fear that if Stalin gets a brute majority, he doesn't have the stature of Karunanidhi to control the party, and if it's going to become a one-family show, it's extremely dangerous for the state.
So Kavitha, I'll come to the question about brute majority later, but do you also agree that perhaps it was too early for Udayanidhi Stalin to have made his electoral debut this way?
I kind of tend to agree because two things, Dhanya. See, one, as Veera Raghav pointed out, Stalin has toiled for some 4 decades before he could actually become anything significant in the party. I mean, he had a huge presence and all. In this case, Udayanidhi could have waited for another election before contesting. He could have undertaken the campaigning. I agree, but I also need to say that if dynasty politics is a problem with the DMK, it's a problem with almost every other party in Tamil Nadu or in India. It happened. Dynasty politics is not something that the DMK alone is doing. Every important party, every significant party, every party worth its whatever worth it is, does dynasty politics in some way or the other. We also hear many things about the AIADMK. We know Sasikala's family and how and their involvement in politics. So I don't think it's fair to accuse DMK alone of dynasty politics. Also, the way Udayanidhi campaigns, it's very interactive. If you see the style of his campaigning, he is able to connect with the people. That I think it's an important factor. Though yes, I would finally say he could have waited for one election and before he takes the electoral plunge.
But is dynasty politics really such a huge problem? I know that we have been talking about this for years, but just a different perspective. If a doctor's son or daughter can become a doctor, why not a politician's son or daughter?
Well, you need moral authority to take on the right. When you want to take on communalism, you need to have moral authority. It is my humble submission that dynasty politics is the reason why communalism has triumphed in Indian politics. It's not a triumph over secularism, but because the representatives of secularism became dynasts. And I think it's regressive in terms of politics. And I think, one needs to question it. As Kavitha points out, yes, it is true. Every party, when you take a PMK, you have the founder's son leading the party. When you took DMK, you had Karunanidhi.
It's not only in Tamil Nadu.
It's not just in Tamil Nadu. It is Samajwadi Party, and that is the line that when you take the BJP, that's the line that they take up. That's the line that defeats the ideology that you're representing at some level. Though I don't think that's happening in Tamil Nadu. But when you are standing up for as a national opposition, when you call for a national opposition against a particular political ideology and you want to stand and be torchbearers of secularism, I think it's very important to not send an image of dynasty, at least not in this election. I mean, I think this election, it could have been avoided, as Kavita agreed. This election, it could have been avoided. Later on, who knows what can happen.
Udaynithi Stalin could have stayed away from contesting at least this election, is what both V. Raghav and Kavita are saying. Kavita, one final question to you. V. Raghav did speak about the fear of brute majority. A lot of people mention the 2006 to 2011 regime of the DMK, the cases against the ministers, land grabbing. So is there also a fear that if the DMK wins a landslide victory, that a brute majority is something that Stalin may not be able to handle?
No, I think the DMK might have learned its lessons, and it's evident the evident from the candidate selection that Stalin exercises some kind of control over the party. So I don't see a repeat of 2006 or 2011. That's certainly not happening. I mean, if it happens, it's very unfortunate. But as someone who's been observing the party and Tamil Nadu politics, I don't see that repeating in immediate future. Maybe they will be excited, but I don't see them going overboard. Also, there are lots of young, fresh faces in the candidates who are educated and young. There are 9 doctors in DMK's list, so it makes a lot of difference in that sense.
Would you agree with what Kavita said, that the candidate list and generally the way Stalin has been behaving does give some confidence that we will not see a repeat of what happened last time?
Well, I first of all don't think that the DMK or AIDMK can be compared, in the sense that the AIDMK had its own elements of Gundaism, the AIDMK has its own elements of lawlessness, corruption. I think they both, in terms of that. Having said that, Kavita, yes, my only point is, I hope the intention is there to make sure that this is a government to be remembered. It's important, but I do fear that sometimes when you have brute majority over a period of time, the spirit of democracy wanes out, and it will be a test for Stalin as a leader. It will definitely be a test for Stalin as a leader. I don't want to give a prejudgment on this. I think it's unfair to make a judgment on it right now. You'll have to give it a chance. He seems to be on an extremely strong wicket in this election, but how he will deal with the mandate that he gets is something that only time will tell.
So these elections are a test for Stalin, and if he does manage a landslide victory, like his political analyst Prashant Kishore has been saying, that the DMK will manage to win more than what they did in 1996. So if Stalin does manage a landslide victory, then it's going to be a bigger test for him and a test for democracy too. That's it from us. Join us for the next episode where we'll be looking at more constituencies from Tamil Nadu.